Well, hello there, Vlad here. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to the first ever episode of CATPICK Fridays, a show that is meant to help you kind of glide from your hard week of work or school into the weekend. And I'm basically inviting you to chill out with me. We'll talk about some fun stuff, answer your questions, comment on your comments. I'll give you some suggestions. You might also learn a thing or two about me you didn't know before, stuff like that. There's a bunch of segments I'm going to try out here, and I would really appreciate that you would let me know if there's a segment you really like or if something's not working, and you will have input on this show, what kind of stuff you want to see in the future. So be sure to let me know what you like, what you don't like. I will not take any offense if you don't like one of the segments. And I would actually really appreciate getting some feedback. And yes, I realize there's a Swedish guy that does his show on Sundays, but I think we both can fit into this YouTube guitar cinematic universe just fine. By the way, the weather in Finland right now is amazing. It's minus 12 degrees Celsius and we got a bunch of snow. Look at that. How beautiful is that? Amazing. I love this kind of weather. I love the sun. I love the snow. It's really, really good. Questions and comments. Nocturon asks, have you been happy with your Triad orbit stands? Have the ball bearings been holding up your gear well? That's a great question, and I think a lot of people actually think about that before getting any Triad orbit stuff. I think the ball bearings have been holding up just fine, but there's definitely a kind of weight limit depending on what kind of ball bearing you have. For example, if we take a look at some of the footage from my studio, one of these kind of smaller ball bearings can hold up like a DSLR camera just fine, but if you start adding more weight on it, it will not hold no matter how tight you tighten up the ball bearing. So I think I understand why they are selling different size of these kind of adapters and the ball bearings as well. And once you get familiar with the different size adapters and such, and like how much weight they can take, you can create pretty crazy setups. For example, if we take a look at my desk, the upper monitor actually sits on this kind of Y splitter from Triad Orbit, and the whole thing is placed to the desk with a single clamp. And from there, I'm not only holding up a second pretty big monitor, but also a camera as well. And those are really stable. They don't seem to move that much. Obviously, they wobble a little bit when I raise or lower the desk, but it's crazy that I'm able to do this kind of setup where two monitors and a camera moves up and down when I lower or raise my desk. So it's pretty incredible. If you're diving into a Triad Orbit system, be sure to get few different kinds of adapters and ball bearing things. I don't know how to call them, to be honest. But yeah, if you're diving into that system, get few of those, or actually contact Triad Orbit and explain what you're trying to do, and they will definitely point you to the right kind of things you need to get from them. So far, I've been really impressed with that stuff, and it's made a gigantic difference in my workflow. Neil Aspinall on my Home Studio 2021 tour. Once you have your home studio set up, it's incredibly important to have extreme workflow access. Creative fatigue can set in if this is not done properly. I have all guitars, bass, drums, keyboards and much more pre-wired and going through a mixer before the PreSonus. So all I have to do is unmute the particular instrument channel I want and record. Thanks Neil, that's a fantastic point. And by the way, if you want to check out that home studio tour video, links below in the description and cards somewhere over here. I never remember on which side they are. But yeah, that's exactly what I aim for with my studio as well. In the past I spent way too much time setting up everything. I also had like less space in the room as well. And many times what happened was like by the time I had set up, and it might have taken an hour, sometimes even two, I was already so tired and frustrated that I had no energy left for actually shooting that video. I don't know about you guys, but for me, video shoots are pretty intensive. I have to speak in a language that I'm not native to, so that already takes some extra energy. I need to get the details right, I need to play properly, I need to set up the lights and cameras and stuff. And if that takes a long time, I'm exhausted by the time I'm supposed to hit record. And now with the new studio, that's not happening anymore. I can record right away. And that's been amazing, and it just has increased my productivity, I don't know, tenfold, something like that. I'm happy to work there. And nowadays I'm actually excited to try out new things because it doesn't take me that long to set up. I can position cameras in different places, it's easy to swap lights here and there, stuff like that. And as I mentioned in the home studio tour video as well, everything is pre-wired and that saves time. And even if I want to use something that's not pre-wired, it's really easy to go to the inputs on my preamp in the rack unit as well. Really cool and saves me so much time. And I think those things have been the biggest reason why my productivity has just skyrocketed over the past months. Glenn Laird, I hope that's how your last name is supposed to be pronounced. He's commenting on the Veden Alle Emma Salokoski ensemble cover with my sister. Well, this just stopped me in my tracks, crying emoji. Thank you, Glenn, I really appreciate that. I'm still proud of that cover. I think it turned out great. I might change a few things here and there if I would do it again now, but that's part of the learning process. And the fact that somebody kind of gets emotional about the song in Finnish, and I don't assume Glenn is actually speaking Finnish, that's amazing. That's why I want to create music or to create covers and stuff like that. So thank you, really appreciate it. I'm actually thinking about doing how I mixed episode on this track as well at some point. There's some cool vocal production things and some kind of keyboard layering and stuff like that that I did to make the song sound the way it does. And yeah, thank you, Glenn, really appreciate this. Too speedy for you too. Wow, great track. Taking a page out of Pete Thorne's book, well done. And this was commented on the Nuix Steel Singer Drive demo. Thank you, Too Speedy for you too. Pete Thorne was my biggest inspiration when I started doing this YouTube thing in 2017, and especially when you watch my first videos, you could tell that I was kind of just blatantly copying his format because I really liked his videos at the time. I still do, and yeah, I just started by pretty much copying the format of like doing a song, let's do a breakdown of the song sounds and stuff like that, and he's good. There's a reason why he is one of the OGs of YouTube guitar stuff, and he's still kind of really relevant and still a big name. I think it makes a lot of sense to copy from the best, right? This is the segment where you can ask me some personal questions, and to give you an example of a personal question, let's start with my first name. I know a lot of people have commented over the years that Vladimir doesn't actually sound like a typical Finnish first name, and they're right. My first name comes from my Russian side of family, and I was actually born in Soviet Union in the 80s, and my family from father's side is part of these Inkeri people that used to be Finns, but because of all of the conflicts we had with Russia over the past 150 years, those peoples became part of Russia at some point, but the people still kept speaking both languages, Finnish and Russian. So when the Soviet Union disbanded, broke down, whatever it was, basically became Russia, the Finnish president at the time issued like an executive order or so that allowed these Inkeri people to move back to Finland if they so desired, and that's exactly what my family did. I think I was roughly 2 when we moved to Finland, and I basically grew up in Finland. I've gone through Finnish school, I've done my military service, the mandatory one in Finland as well, stuff like that. So my identity is kind of more Finnish than Russian, but I do speak both languages, and I still have relatives living in Russia as well that I haven't been able to see actually for a while, which kind of sucks. And yeah, that's where my name comes from. I also lost count on how many times I've had a comment on YouTube in Russian telling me like, why don't you do your videos in Russian instead of English? And some people have called me like an American because of that, because to some people, if you speak English, apparently you're American. So yeah, and getting those comments has actually kind of affirmed that I don't want to do my content in Russian in the future either. There's this weird vibe about Russian YouTubers that I don't really get. There's almost a little bit of hostility towards other cultures, or at least like English speaking cultures, which I really don't like. I don't know, I see no benefit in doing that, so I'll keep doing my English content. But yeah, that was the Vlad files for this time. If you want to know something else about me, ask in the comment section down below.
Watch it. Video.
It's not like you have anything else to do. Weekend watch is basically me recommending you something you might enjoy watching this weekend, and I actually want to pick something that's outside of our guitar realm where we usually live, and just to kind of get your mind off guitar related things for a little bit and just watch something else that's also interesting, or at least what I find interesting. And it could be a movie, it could be a documentary, stuff like that. And this week I'm recommending a video by Lindsay Ellis called The Hobbit, a long expected autopsy. And even though it says part 1 out of 2 here, it's actually a 3-part video where she kind of dissects really well what on earth happened with the Hobbit movie series. Lord of the Rings is my favorite trilogy of all time. I absolutely love those movies. And The Hobbit, I've seen each of those movies once, and I honestly don't ever want to watch them again. They are absolutely awful. And watching Lindsay's video explains really well what kind of chaos production of the whole movie trilogy was. It wasn't even supposed to be a trilogy at first, and studios got involved. It got into New Zealand's politics, and all kinds of things happened during that time. And it's actually kind of depressing in a way, but also really, really interesting. So I'll put a link in the description to all 3 parts. Grab yourself a hot beverage and enjoy the chaos that was the Hobbit movies production. And yeah, I really, really like her style of doing these mini documentaries / essays. So yeah, that's my weekend watch recommendation for this week.
That is amazing. Yay. Wow, so great.
A random positive thing is me highlighting something positive since the previous CATPICK Fridays video. And this week I want to highlight you guys for using the affiliate links I put in my video description. And you've been actually using them so well that I've started to earn a little bit of money to pay the bills on a really consistent basis. And it's been great because YouTube's ad revenue is really unpredictable. You could have exactly the same amount of views as you had the last month, but the ad revenue could be just half of that. And I don't know, it's really weird. The more consistent thing has been you guys using my affiliate links, and that's made a huge positive difference. So thank you for that. And that actually wraps up the first episode of CATPICK Fridays. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments and intimate questions in the comment section down below. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.